You've been watching the ongoing coverage of the deadly terror attacks in Paris. Hello, I'm Lynda Kinkade, and this is CNN Newsroom. It's 5 a.m. in Paris, more than 24 hours after terrorists carried out the worst violence France has seen since World War II. Here's what we know at this hour. Officials say at least 7 attackers working in 3 teams targeted 6 locations across Paris on Friday night, including a concert hall, a football stadium, and several restaurants. 129 people were killed and 352 others wounded in shootings and explosions. 7 suspects are dead, and a French politician has now identified one of them. ISIS has claimed responsibility for this bloodshed. The French president is vowing a ruthless response to what he called an act of war. He declared 3 days of mourning. Belgium authorities conducted a number of raids Saturday after a car rented in Brussels was found near one of the sites attacked in Paris. They've made a number of arrests. This video shows the sheer terror of the attack. People running in panic from that Bataclan concert hall as gunshots ring in the background. You can see someone hanging from a window as people below scramble to get out of that building. All around the world, expressions of solidarity for the victims of France. In the U.S. Capitol, the French embassy hosted a vigil to honor the lives lost. At the U.S. presidential debate, Democratic candidates held a minute of silence before beginning. And in London, thousands gathered at Trafalgar Square and paid tribute by holding up lights and illuminating a portrait gallery. In Hong Kong, residents lit candles to remember those lost. We saw similar tributes in Australia, New Zealand, Spain, and elsewhere. And of course, in Paris, the mood is grave as the city and the country of France mourn, with silent vigils around the sites of the attacks. Joining me now is the host of CNN's Out Front, Erin Burnett. She's live in Paris at this hour. Erin, you've been working there throughout the night. We're now hearing that at least one of the 7 terrorists has been identified. What can you tell us?
Here's what we're learning, and just one of the 7, Linda. Ismail Mostafa is the name of the attacker that we have. About 29 or 30 years old, unclear exactly his age, but 29 or 30 years old, from the Parisian suburb of Coqueron. They said recently living in Chartres, just south of Paris. Someone who very significantly, Linda, was known to French intelligence. He had a history of petty arrests, but known to French intelligence as someone who had been radicalized within the past few years. So someone they were aware of, someone that perhaps they could have been monitoring, but with the hundreds and perhaps thousands of people that they are monitoring here, either slipped through the cracks somehow. They did not have any awareness that he was involved in this. We do know that he is one of the attackers. In terms of the other attackers, we don't yet have names as they are working to identify them, but we do know that 2 of them, up to 2 of them, had Syrian passports. Now, we have not yet been able to confirm whether the passports that were on them when they died in these suicide attacks were their real passports or not. That we do not know, but we do know that 2 of the passports were Syrian and that those passports belonged to individuals who just within the past few weeks had left Syria and been processed through Greek processing stations in the Greek islands coming into Europe. So that is the latest we know at this hour, Linda.
And Erin, you've also been speaking to survivors of this horrific attack, people who on the ground who narrowly escaped death. What are they telling you?
That has been the most sobering thing. Linda, I was in New York on 9/11. I saw one of the planes fly into the buildings that day. It is an image that is seared in my memory like anyone else who was there that day. And that is the feeling that many in Paris have. Just so sobering, sad, despondent, angry, and also defiant, the feeling that many have. I talked to one man. I want to share a picture with you. Linda, it's very hard to look at, but for me, it brought it home. It brought me to tears. This is a picture taken by a man named Clark Winter, an American who was here in Paris last night, went to a restaurant right next to La Belle Équipe, which was one of the restaurants in a drive-by shooting that the attackers shot and killed people outside. He walked by this restaurant. He saw people having, he said, mostly cups of coffee, some glasses of wine at tables outside at a cafe. Walked, sat down at his restaurant, and within a couple of minutes heard the shots. They ran out, and the people that they had just seen having coffee, having wine, were slaughtered, dead on the street. You can see the blood in that picture. On a beautiful Friday night in Paris, it could have happened in any city in the world. For some reason, this image brings home the horror of what just happened here, Lynda.
Absolutely terrifying, Erin, and we are going to hear a little bit more about what he had to say a little later in this show. Now, of course, many analysts have compared the violence we've seen in Paris to the 2008 attack in Mumbai, which lasted 4 days. Is there a fear there that this threat in Paris is not contained?
There is, Lynda, and it's coming directly from French officials. The deputy mayor of Paris, Patrick Klugman, just hours ago, right here on CNN, said, I want to quote him directly to you, quote, nothing says this terror series is over yet. He continued to say the threat is still going on and the risks are real. And as I've talked to experts throughout the evening here in Paris tonight, Lynda, the fear is that this indicates that they don't yet know. It's not that they know of further plots at this time or that they know something specific was planned. It's that they didn't see this coming. They didn't see how these attackers were communicating, and there's a darkness and intelligence, and that is why they are worried that the series of attacks could be continuing, because they just don't know what they don't know, which is incredibly terrifying in a city that is on such high alert. A city, of course, Lynda, as you know, just 10 months ago, a few minutes walk from where I'm standing right now, went through that horrific Charlie Hebdo attack.
Yeah, absolutely scary, frightening. Erin Burnett, host of Erin Burnett Up Front, thank you so much for joining us.